Bird surveillance. The feather that appears in the post-credits scene might not be random. Some fans theorize that birds have been watching Zootopia the entire time, conducting surveillance on mammal society from above. The feather lands specifically on Judy's windowsill after she's been instrumental in exposing two major conspiracies across both films, suggesting birds might be targeting her specifically. The theory proposes that birds operate as an intelligence network that's been monitoring Zootopia's political developments for decades, or even centuries. Evidence supporting this includes the complete absence of birds, despite Zootopia being an open-air city where flying creatures should naturally appear. Theorists point out that birds would have the perfect vantage point to observe everything happening below without being noticed. If true, this would mean birds possess extensive knowledge about both the Bellwether conspiracy and the Linksley cover-up, raising questions about why they never intervened. The surveillance theory suggests birds might be preparing to make contact, now that Judy has proven herself trustworthy by exposing corruption twice. Some fans believe the birds' timing, appearing right after Nick's love confession recording, indicates they're monitoring personal relationships as well as political events, suggesting their interest goes beyond simple observation. Agnes Lives. Despite being referenced as someone from 150 years ago, the film never explicitly confirms Agnes de Snake's death. Theorists point out that reptiles, particularly snakes, can have extraordinarily long lifespans compared to mammals. The lack of any death certificate, burial site, or explicit statement about her demise opens the possibility that Agnes faked her death and has been living in hiding within Marsh Market for over a century. Gary's extremely detailed knowledge about events from 150 years ago seems too precise to be based solely on family stories passed down through generations. The theory suggests Agnes might have been secretly guiding Gary's mission from behind the scenes, explaining why he knew exactly where to look and what evidence to find. If Agnes is alive, she would be approximately 180 years old, which isn't biologically impossible for certain reptile species. Supporters note that someone had to maintain the original patent in pristine condition for 150 years, and Gary's family living in isolation wouldn't have the resources or knowledge to preserve such a delicate historical document properly. The theory proposes that Agnes will reveal herself in Zootopia 3 as the elder stateswoman who can bridge past injustice with future reconciliation, providing wisdom about how to genuinely integrate reptile and mammal societies. Pawbert's ally. Throughout Pawbert's elaborate double-agent scheme, he demonstrates knowledge and capabilities that seem beyond what an awkward, neglected family member should possess. The theory suggests Pawbert had a secret ally or mentor who helped him orchestrate his complex plan to infiltrate Gary's mission while maintaining his family's trust. His motorcycle skills, his knowledge of Gary's overseas location, and his ability to arrange smuggling operations indicate connections and training that the film never explains. Some fans speculate this ally could be someone within the Linksley family's inner circle who secretly opposed the conspiracy, perhaps a staff member or distant relative who felt guilty about the cover-up. Others theorize the ally might be from outside the family entirely, possibly a reptile who wanted to use Pawbert to expose the Linksleys from within. The most compelling evidence is Pawbert's statement, "I don't want to be different," which some interpret not as rejection of goodness, but as a coded message to his hidden ally that he's maintaining his cover. If this theory proves true, it will mean someone else knows the full truth about the conspiracy, and could emerge in future films to either help or threaten Zootopia, depending on their ultimate motivations. Bellwether's plan. Bellwether's escape from her Hannibal Lecter-style containment cell seems too convenient to be accidental. While the film shows Nick accidentally releasing all prisoners by pressing a button, theorists question whether Bellwether engineered the entire situation. The theory proposes that Bellwether knew Nick would eventually be imprisoned there and had been preparing for this exact scenario, possibly through planted allies among prison staff or other inmates. Her cell contained furniture made from her own wool, demonstrating she'd been allowed materials and time to craft objects, suggesting either corrupt guards or her own manipulation of the system. Some fans believe Bellwether might have been communicating with the Linksley family prior to Gary's arrival in Zootopia, possibly feeding them information or coordinating strategies. The timing of the reptile conspiracy emerging so soon after Judy and Nick became partners raises questions about whether Bellwether orchestrated events from prison as revenge. If true, this would position Bellwether not as a defeated villain, but as a criminal mastermind who's been pulling strings throughout the entire sequel. The theory suggests she deliberately wanted to be caught by Judy and Nick at the end to study their methods, see how they handle corruption, and gather intelligence for future schemes. Her escape positions her perfectly to be the main antagonist of Zootopia 3, having learned from her mistakes and observed how heroes operate. Password message. During one scene, viewers noticed that IT specialist Paul Moldebrandt has a password written on a post-it note that reads, "Part is Friendbird," with the last characters cut off. Fans have decoded this as Part 3 is for real, and birds are too. But the theory goes deeper. Some believe this isn't just a fun Easter egg, but an actual in-universe message from someone trying to warn Zootopia about the bird situation. The question becomes, who wrote that password, and why would they encode a message about birds in IT security credentials? One theory suggests that Nibbles, the conspiracy theorist beaver, might have hacked into ZPD systems and planted this message as a warning. Another interpretation is that someone in Zootopia's government already knows about birds and is trying to leak information without being caught. The password's existence proves that at least one character within the movie's world is aware of birds and their significance, meaning the bird mystery isn't just for the audience, but will be addressed in-universe. If someone deliberately created this coded warning, they might be a bird themselves, operating undercover in mammal society, or they might be a mammal who discovered bird surveillance and is trying to alert others. The theory suggests Zootopia 3 will reveal who created this password and why they chose such a cryptic method to share information. Nick's father. Nick's backstory from the first film revealed his childhood trauma, but deliberately avoided any mention of his father. The second film continues this pattern, never addressing where Nick's father is or what happened to him. Theorists propose that Nick's father might have been involved in or victimized by the Linksley conspiracy, possibly one of the mammals who discovered the truth about reptile exclusion and was silenced. This would explain Nick's sophisticated understanding of how corruption operates in Zootopia's elite circles, despite his con artist background. Some fans believe Nick's reluctance to discuss his father isn't just about abandonment, but about a darker truth he's been suppressing. The theory suggests Nick might have fox ancestry connected to the original conspiracy 150 years ago, making his involvement in exposing the Linksleys personally significant beyond what he consciously realizes. Evidence includes Nick's unusual education level for someone from his economic circumstances, and his instinctive distrust of authority figures and wealthy families. If this theory proves accurate, Zootopia 3 might explore Nick's family history in depth, revealing connections that retroactively add meaning to his character journey across all three films. The discovery could create emotional conflict where Nick must confront inherited trauma he didn't know existed. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I post videos like this all the time. A subscription would really help out. Fuzzby's role. Dr. Fuzzby, the quokka therapist who counsels Judy and Nick, might be more than she appears. The theory proposes that Dr. Fuzzby was strategically assigned to Judy and Nick by someone who knew they'd eventually stumble into another conspiracy. Her therapy sessions focus specifically on their partnership dynamics and emotional vulnerabilities, which seems oddly convenient given that their personal issues directly impact their ability to solve the case. Some fans speculate Dr. Fuzzby might be working for a secret oversight organization within the ZPD that monitors officers who get too close to powerful families. Others theorize she could be an agent of the bird community, sent to evaluate whether Judy and Nick are trustworthy enough to be contacted. The film never shows Dr. Fuzzby outside her therapy office, never reveals her personal life, and never explains why a therapist would specialize in police partnerships specifically. Her unusual focus on making them confront their deepest insecurities seems designed to either strengthen them for upcoming challenges or psychologically profile them for unknown purposes. If Dr. Fuzzby has ulterior motives, her character could become significant in future films, as either an ally revealing she was protecting them all along, or an antagonist who is gathering intelligence for enemies. Hidden defenses. Marsh Market survived 150 years of mammal hostility and multiple attempts at expansion by the Linksley family. The theory suggests this isn't merely luck, but indicates that reptiles possess defensive capabilities or technologies that have deterred direct assault. The film shows Marsh Market as a functional community with sophisticated infrastructure, but never explains how they prevented the Linksleys from simply destroying them earlier. Some fans believe reptiles might have developed weapons or defensive systems using Agnes's technological genius, creating a mutually assured destruction scenario where attacking Marsh Market would trigger devastating consequences for Tundra Town. Another interpretation suggests reptiles made deals with other powerful groups in Zootopia, possibly Mr. Big's organization, creating alliances that made attacking them politically complicated. The most intriguing theory proposes that Agnes designed the weather walls with hidden shutdown codes that only reptiles can access, giving them leverage over the entire city's infrastructure. If true, this would mean reptiles have been holding the power to collapse Zootopia's climate system the entire time, choosing not to use it as an act of mercy rather than inability. This theory could explain why the Linksleys focused on framing reptiles as dangerous rather than directly exterminating them. They literally couldn't without risking their own survival. First founder. While the film reveals Agnes as the weather wall inventor, some theorists question whether she was truly the original mind behind Zootopia's founding, or if there's an even deeper layer of hidden history. The theory suggests that Agnes might have collaborated with or learned from someone else whose contribution was erased even before the Linksley conspiracy. Evidence includes the sophistication of the weather wall technology, which seems impossibly advanced for a single inventor working alone 150 years ago. Some fans propose that Agnes might have had a partner, possibly a bird, whose existence was deliberately omitted from even her own patent. This would explain why birds are completely absent from Zootopia's history, despite being intelligent creatures capable of contributing to civilization. The theory argues that the complete absence of bird mentions isn't just about future plot setup, but indicates historical erasure even deeper than what the film explicitly reveals. If true, this would mean the Linksley conspiracy is only the most recent layer of cover-ups, and that Zootopia's foundation involves multiple acts of theft and erasure that Agnes herself might have been complicit in. Zootopia 3 could reveal that birds have their own legitimate grievance about stolen contributions, creating a situation where reptiles aren't the only historically wronged group seeking justice. Judy's limitation. Throughout both films, Judy faces prejudice about her size and species, but Zootopia 2 introduces a new element, her physical vulnerability when poisoned by Pawbert. The theory proposes that Judy's rabbit biology creates genuine limitations that future villains might exploit, making her increasingly reliant on partners with different capabilities. Some fans notice that Judy's small size, while advantageous for certain situations, makes her extremely vulnerable to venom, extreme temperatures, and physical combat with larger animals. The film shows her nearly dying from snake venom that Gary easily neutralizes, suggesting that certain biological threats affect different species asymmetrically. This theory argues that future films might explore how Judy compensates for inherent biological vulnerabilities that courage and intelligence alone cannot overcome. The speculation suggests this could create conflicts where Judy's ambition puts her in situations where her body literally cannot survive, regardless of her determination, forcing her to accept collaborative approaches rather than heroic individualism. If developed in Zootopia 3, this could add realism to the franchise by acknowledging that not all species are equally suited for all challenges, and that genuine diversity means recognizing different strengths and limitations rather than pretending everyone is interchangeable. Big's debt. Mr. Big's intervention to save Judy and Nick seems generous on the surface, but theorists question his true motivations. The film shows him smuggling the heroes out of the gala, but never explains why a crime boss would risk his operation to help police officers. The theory proposes that Mr. Big owes a significant debt to the reptile community that predates the film's events, possibly related to how his criminal empire survived while reptiles were marginalized. Some fans speculate that Marsh Market might have provided Mr. Big with smuggling routes, illegal goods, or protection during his rise to power, creating an obligation he's now repaying by helping expose the Linksley conspiracy. Another interpretation suggests Mr. Big might have reptile ancestry himself, despite appearing to be an Arctic shrew, or that someone in his family married into the reptile community, giving him personal stakes in their liberation. The theory points out that Mr. Big's granddaughter becoming a hero suggests his family is transitioning away from pure criminality, possibly to position themselves as legitimate business people in a reformed Zootopia where old alliances with oppressed groups will be politically valuable. If true, this would reveal Mr. Big as a far more strategic character than either film suggests, someone who's been playing a long game, anticipating the eventual exposure of institutional corruption. Climate weapon. The weather walls that maintain Zootopia's climate zones could potentially be weaponized, and some theorists believe this threat will become central to future conflicts. The film shows the Linksleys threatening to bury Marsh Market under snow, demonstrating that weather control can be used offensively. The theory proposes that whoever controls the weather walls effectively controls the entire city, as they could make any district uninhabitable by adjusting temperatures to extremes. Some fans believe Agnes designed the system with this capability intentionally, creating a deterrent against tyranny by ensuring that concentrated power would always face the threat of environmental collapse. Others worry that future villains might attempt to seize control of the weather wall controls to hold Zootopia hostage, forcing the city to meet their demands or face extinction through climate manipulation. The most disturbing version of this theory suggests that birds, who wouldn't be affected by ground-level temperature changes, might see the weather walls as a tool for eliminating terrestrial competition, explaining why they've remained hidden until now. If Zootopia 3 explores this angle, it could transform the weather walls from background infrastructure into the franchise's most significant MacGuffin, with multiple factions competing for control of technology that could reshape the balance of power between species. Nibbles Identity. Nibbles Maple Stick, the conspiracy theorist Beaver, demonstrates knowledge and capabilities that seem inconsistent with being merely an eccentric podcaster. The theory suggests Nibbles might be an intelligence operative, possibly government, possibly independent, who uses her conspiracy theorist persona as cover for investigating genuine corruption. Her theories about reptiles prove accurate. Her knowledge of Marsh Market's location suggests prior contact, and her ability to orchestrate a prison break demonstrates skills beyond what civilians typically possess. Some fans propose Nibbles might be a former government agent who was discredited and dismissed for investigating the Linksley family, turning to independent podcasting when official channels failed. Another interpretation suggests she could be working for birds, serving as their ground agent while they observe from above. The theory points to her encyclopedic knowledge about topics that should be impossible to research, given how thoroughly the Linksleys suppressed information. If Nibbles is more than she appears, her character could be revealed in future films as having been instrumental in exposing corruption, possibly having fed Judy and Nick information deliberately disguised as conspiracy theories to avoid attracting attention. This would recontextualize her entire role as strategic rather than comedic, showing that apparent eccentricity can be a cover for serious investigative work. If you found this valuable, subscribe so you never miss new content. Thanks for watching.